Hello everyone, my name is Bianca and I'm from X4, and today me and my friend Sebastian from X2 we're going to be doing a music analysis. And the song we chose to do our analysis is Enchanted by Taylor Swift. Okay, so first things first, we have the whole dynamic graph, which includes basically the whole dynamic throughout the almost 6-minute song, in which our song has an intro, 2 verses, 2 pre-choruses, 3 chorus, 1 interlude, 1 bridge, and also an outro. I will be explaining from the intro until the first chorus, and my dear friend Sebastian will continue until the rest. So let's just get started. Okay, the first part of the song, which is the intro, it's for the first 12 seconds of the whole entire song, in which the instruments used are guitars and synth, with the chord progressions of G to B minor to C and back to G. We can also see from the dynamic graph that it slowly goes higher, which means since it's also the beginning of the song, it has a very slow progression. The second part of the song is the verse, where it starts from the 13th second of the song until the first minute 10 second of the song, in which the instruments used were guitar, synths, and also vocals, with the chord progressions of G to B minor to C and back to G, which is basically the same thing as the intro. We could also see that it progressively goes louder and louder. You could see in the graph that it slightly goes higher than the intro because we're basically starting the whole story. Okay, so the next part, which is the first pre-chorus, so we could see it's from the time period the first minute 11 second until the first minute 34 second, in which the instruments used were guitar, synth, and vocals. We have a slightly different chord progression here, which is C to E minor and to D, which is played twice because there's only basically 2 lines throughout the whole pre-chorus. And since it's basically building up towards the chorus, we could see quite a jump from the verse in the dynamic graph. Okay, so the next part is the first chorus from the time period from the first minute 35 second until the second minute 3 second, which the instruments used are E guitars, which is electronic guitars, bass, drum, and also vocals, in which the chord progressions is from C and then G to D to C played thrice, and then goes to E minor to D and back to C. You could also see from the dynamic graph that it's actually reaching towards the highest point of the dynamic, which basically means that it's getting louder and louder.
On the second verse, we see the guitar, synth, and vocals that return from the first verse, as well as adding the e-guitar, drums, and bass that were added in the first chorus, along with a slight tinge of violin in the background, along with an alarm-like effect that goes throughout the entire part. Its intensity is a lot lower than the chorus, which makes sense because it's just a verse rather than a full-on chorus. The chorus go G, B minor, C, G, into another G, B minor, C, G, into C, E minor, and D. Pre-chorus 2 actually takes more instruments from chorus 1 rather than pre-chorus 1. It takes the electric guitar, bass, and drums from it, along with adding the violin, as well as, of course, keeping the vocals that are prevalent throughout the song. Its intensity spikes a bit from verse 2 as it's leading to chorus 2, with the chord progression of C, E minor, and D. For the second chorus, it carries over all the instruments from pre-chorus 2, that being vocals, e-guitar, bass, drums, and the violin, along with carrying over that intensity, and is again continually slowly rising. Its chord progression goes C into G, D, C 3 times, then E minor, D, then repeat that whole thing again. The interlude uses the same set of instruments that the second chorus did, that being the violin, e-guitar, bass, and drums, but just dropping out the vocals. Its intensity stays pretty constant throughout the entire part. Its chords go G, B minor, C, G, into G, B minor, C, D. The bridge keeps the same instruments that the interlude did, just adding back the vocals. Its intensity also stays pretty constant throughout the part, and rising a bit from the interlude. The violin, the e-guitar, the bass, and the drums make this very, very intense beating beat in a way that keeps this intensity throughout the part. Its chord progression goes C, E minor, D, repeat that 3 times, into C, E minor, D, add 4 over F sharp, into G, B minor, C, G, and then repeat that again. Chorus 3 uses the same set of instruments as well as the same chord progression that chorus 2 did. Though in the intensity chart, it actually goes down, slopes down, because it's nearing the ending and transitioning into the outro. For the outro, the instruments being used are the same as the chorus 3, just adding a slight xylophone in the end. Then we also, in the intensity chart, we saw that it slowly faded out into like a bit of a fade out ending. And for the chord progression, it goes G, B minor, C, G. Thank you for listening to our presentation.